I will start by looking at the poem itself. If you look at the first stanza of the poem, the poet uses certain devices. First of all, I would like to repeat the message that the poet has given in this poem. He makes an appeal to the educated people, to the affluent people of society, to improve the lot of these children who are living in the slums and their only hope is education. They are otherwise condemned to a life of poverty and dirt and all the time wanting things. These children deserve opportunities so that they also experience the beauty and joy of life as well as education. And the poet is very sad that humanity and government in particular do not have a good attitude. They have an unsympathetic attitude towards these children, which is very, very unkind. And he says that the state of education also in schools of slums needs to be looked at. So some of the images and the symbols that I'm going to point out here, first of all, the way he's writing, he uses a simple and clear style, and it is dominated by the use of similes, metaphors, symbols, and images. These expressions that he uses have enhanced the beauty and the thought of the poem, because we know that poetry requires a certain brevity in words. That means brevity would be economy in words, that you would use few words and at the same time you are able to increase your expression and the reader is able to get the entire expression. Now here he talks about discrimination, and at the same time he wants to assert the fact that education should be provided to all the downtrodden people of the society. To highlight these points, he uses certain metaphors and expressions, which we will now look at as we read the poem with a critical outcome now. He starts by saying, the repetition far, far from gust. That he is far from gusty waves. These children do not have access to education. They are far from healthy lifestyle that they deserve to be given. So they are very far from it. At the same time, this is an alliteration. The technique that he is using is that of alliteration, where there is a repetition of a certain alphabet. What are the images that he provides with? He says, these are gusty waves. Children are obviously not gusty waves anymore. They are not so bright. And then what does he look at? The next thing is rootless weeds, like rootless weeds. So these children are rootless weeds. Nobody wants them. And who are these? The paper-seeming boy. And then we see twisted bones. And what are the further imagery that we point out? I will explain each imagery line by line. And then what do we see at it? There is the star cream walls, followed by Shakespeare's head. And then we have the Tyrolese Valley, then followed by the open-handed map. So far in these stanzas, these are the words that we come across. Now we look at the words. When the poet is comparing the children to rootless weeds, this rootless weed, it talks about their life, the hair torn round their pallor. What is a weed? A weed, I explained in the previous class also, these are unwanted plants. Similarly, these children are also unwanted in society. Nobody wants to be with them. They're just there and they try their best to ignore them. And what do we see? There's nothing in their life. They don't have anything to look forward to. These children are all stuck and unwilling participants in their parents' poverty. These children have no proper nutrition. They live like on the fringe of society. They do not have anything to look forward to, and here it is, the paper-seeming boy. This would be a metaphor that is being used. The poet uses very apt words to describe them. So wherever the comparison is shown, like rootless weeds, the paper-seeming boy with rat's eyes, it shows the level of poverty in their life and what kind of nutrition they would probably be living with. They don't have anything to look forward to in their life. Their life is full of social disorder, confusion, chaos. They are ignored because of poverty. They do not have the access of things that they should get it. And it is through these words that I have underlined and highlighted for you that you get the proper image as to what is actually going on with their lives. Now, if you look further, they show you the imagery of color. So here you see, here it says their future is painted with a fog. The future of these children is painted with a fog. So there's nothing about their future. They're living in darkness and there is no hope for their life. Now if you underline this as well, and then you have the next thing, a narrow street sealed in with the lead sky, far from rivers, capes and stars of words. So all these descriptions that they've given, the images and symbols that I've underlined earlier. So you have stars of words. Who is the stars of words here? The mention here is towards Shakespeare. Then we come on to the next thing, which is like bottle bits on stones. Here again, the next simile is there for you to see. Like bottle bits on stones. And then what happens with their lives? Their lives, there's no hope for them, and so their lives are shut upon them like catacombs. These are all similes that I'm underlining for you. These are to tell you, sorry, that how these children are living in these dingy rooms with no light, perhaps no proper ventilation also. It's just a small room which is shut from every side, and their lives are also like catacombs also. And what are they? These slums as big as doom. If you look at this line here, slums as big as doom. So they do not have, these are all similes which are there to highlight their conditions. And the writer uses these phrases or examples to tell us what their conditions are. So far I explained to you the similes here. Now we will look at the metaphor. Let us look at the metaphors. I'm going to use a different color to highlight the metaphors here for you. Let's take a green here.